It was supposed to be a simple Sunday evening drive back to Knoxville after a weekend visiting my parents. I've done it a dozen times. 3 hours, mostly highway, one gas stop if needed. Easy. But that October evening, my GPS lit up with a traffic alert. Major accident. 2 hour delay. Then hit the alternative route button. The new route would add about 30 minutes, guiding me through a network of back roads I'd never taken before. It didn't seem like a big deal. The sun was still above the horizon, and I had a full tank. The first stretch was uneventful. Cornfields, old barns, mailboxes. Pretty much what you would expect from rural Tennessee. But after a while, I noticed the GPS signal getting weak. Eventually, the pavement gave way to gravel, and the farmland disappeared into dense woods. Trees crowded the roads, branches brushing against the roof and sides of my car. The houses I passed were few and far between. Most of them were either falling apart or clearly abandoned. The kind of places where the grass hasn't been mowed in years. I wasn't worried yet. The GPS had stopped updating. It had said to keep straight for 18 miles before turning. But then the road forked. No signs, no obvious choice. I picked a path that looked more traveled and kept moving, though by now the sun had dipped low, casting long shadows across the gravel. That's when I started seeing them. Roadside markers, small bundles of sticks tied with twine, nailed to short wooden stakes. The first one barely registered, but the second one had bones woven into it. The third had feathers and something dark smeared on the wood. I told myself they were some kind of backwoods tradition or maybe hunting territory markers, but they kept on showing up, closer together, more detailed, more unsettling. I wanted to turn around, but the road had narrowed so much that there was no room. I have to keep going until it winded down. Then the road curved sharply, and my headlights caught something that made my stomach drop. A line of 7 figures standing along the roadside, human size, made of sticks and twine, each one dressed with old tattered clothes, flannel, denim, and a child's shoe. The last one wore a clean white dress shirt. It almost looked new. I hit the gas as I passed the last figure. My headlights lit up, clearing just beyond the trees. There was a house, wooden, weathered, every window dark except one on the second floor, glowing with light. An old pickup was parked out front. Next to it, a sedan. Same make, model, and color as mine. Someone stepped out slowly, calmly. They were holding something, a white dresser, in long branches. They weren't rushing towards me, just watching me. I drove faster than I ever have in my life. The road finally widened near a small bridge, and I whipped the car around in a frantic three-point turn. As my headlights swept across the clearing one last time, I saw the line of stick figures again. There were 8 now. I don't remember the drive back to the highway. I just kept taking turns until I saw power lines again, then mailboxes, then traffic. I didn't stop until I reached Knoxville. I checked the news the next day, no report of any accident on that highway. Nothing. I've taken to checking my GPS personally now before any trip. I've also noticed something else. Whenever I search for directions between my parents' home and my apartment, the app suggests an alternative route that it claims it's faster. It's always the same detour. It says it'll save me 45 minutes. I drive the highway now, regardless of traffic. During my gap year between undergrad and grad school, I plan to hike segments of the Appalachian Trail over 3 months. Growing up in suburban Massachusetts, I gave the solitude and challenge that the trail could offer before locking to years of study. By my 5th week, I was feeling confident, 15 miles up a day, managing my gear and staying warm. Then the storm hit. It rained for nearly 36 hours straight, and by the second evening, I was soaked despite my supposedly waterproof gear. The temperature dropped, and I knew I was starting to skirt the edge of hypothermia. The next trail shelter was 8 miles off, too far in my condition, so I decided to veer off the trail, following a stream downhill, hoping for denser cover and maybe some luck. After about an hour just before losing daylight, I spotted what looked like a shelter through the trees. Not marked on any map, not mentioned in any log. As I got closer, I realized it wasn't a typical trail shelter. It had been built up, turned into more of a cabin. A door had been added, a wire ran from the roof into the trees. It just felt off seeing this building in here. I called out, hiker etiquette, but got no response. I knocked, still nothing. As I dried out, I explored the space. That's when I noticed a logbook. It was a rugged, tactical notebook, not the usual rain-ruined composition pads you see around here. Inside there were some hiker entries, but also coded notes, phrases like product schedule and watch rotation. One page had a map with junctions marked camera placement optimal. Others mentioned territory enforcement and authorized axes. A topographic map fell out. My current location circled in red. Other trails, ones I didn't recognize, were marked with different colors. That's time I put it together. I stumbled on a hub for something illegal, likely drug trafficking, using the Appalachian trails for remoteness for the transport. Then I started hearing noises outside the cabin. Turned off the lantern and heater, shoved my pack under the sleeping platform, and crawled into the corner behind it, pulling a tarp over myself. I could hear them clearly when they entered. 3 men soaked from the rain.
Heater's warm. Check outside. Could be someone hiding around here.
My heart was pounding. I stayed completely still.
They didn't sign the log. Last entry's 3 days ago. We're moving tonight anyway. Too much ranger chatted lately.
For 20 minutes, I listened as they packed bags, discussed drop points, TV access routes, and how they'd clear out. And what felt like hours, they finally left. I still waited another hour before crawling out. Everything in me wanted to bolt, but I moved cautiously and backtracked through the woods in a different direction that they've gone. I hiked all night, shivering, checking over my shoulder constantly. And by dawn, I hit the main trail. Hours later, I found a trail crew and pulled one of them aside. The crew leader had radioed and got in touch with rangers, and they met me at the nearest access road. When I told them what I'd seen, their reaction said it all. I'd walked into a location they'd been trying to find for months. They escorted me off the trail. A week later, I resumed my hike in a different section, never alone this time. All I know is that they raided the shelter and found nothing at this time. This happened last October. I was driving home late around 1 in the morning after hanging out at a friend's place. About a 30-minute drive through these rural roads, mostly farmlands and patches of thick forest. Normally, the quiet didn't bother me. In fact, I kind of liked the solitude, but then I felt different right from the start. About halfway home, as usual, my phone lost its signal. I didn't think much of it until my radio started acting up too. Just static. This annoying scratchy sound that wouldn't go away no matter how much I tried turning it off. It started getting under my skin. Then up ahead, I noticed someone standing by the side of the road near mile marker 16. At first, I thought someone had a car trouble or something. I slowed down, but as I got closer, I saw they weren't waving or signaling for help. They were just standing there completely still. Arms straight at their side, head tilted downwards so I couldn't see their face. Something about the way they were standing just seemed off, like it wasn't natural. Then as I almost passed them, they suddenly took this slow, deliberate step toward my car. My heart skipped and I instinctively sped up. Checked my rearview mirror, expecting them to be there. They were gone, not walking away, just gone. The silence after that felt heavy, almost suffocating, and every shadow seemed bigger. I kept glancing in the mirrors, feeling paranoid and jittery, desperate to reach the gas station a few miles ahead. When I finally got there, I practically jumped out of my car, rushing inside, and this older gentleman, Frank, who worked night shift, immediately noticed something was wrong, but quickly told him what had just happened, hoping he'd just laugh it off or say it was nothing. Instead, he just got serious. He told me he heard stories recently of people spotting weird figures around here, especially late at night, and he always thought it was just pranksters, but his tone didn't exactly seem very convincing to me. Then Frank's eyes widened, staring past me toward the window. I just slowly turned and feeling my stomach drop. Outside, just beyond the reach of the lights, the same figure, motionless, just watching us. Frank grabbed the phone and quickly called the sheriff, and we stood there barely breathing as the figure lingered for another moment, and casually stepping back into the darkness. The sheriff showed up, checked around, but nothing. Just a prank, he said dismissively, but didn't feel like one. Frank tried to reassure me as I got back into my car, but the reassurance didn't stick. The rest of the night drive home was nerve-wracking. every shadow and bend in the road feeling sinister, just darker, always feeling watch. Even now, months later, I still can't shake that feeling of vulnerability, like someone could always be out there watching and waiting, especially on those dark, lonely rural roads late at night.